And joining us now for more is Ayelet Razin Beit Or, legal advisor for the Rape Crisis Centers of Israel, joining us from Jerusalem. And Ayelet, thanks for joining us. Let me first just ask you about the idea of a special court for sex crimes. I mean, I guess the only comparable one I can think of is family court, where there are certain procedures in place to ensure, for example, confidentiality and discretion. How would such a court actually work?
Well, first of all, good evening, and thank you for having me. When we talk about dedicated courts, what we mean is not only to assure the privacy, that's something very, very important, but first are the trainings, intensive trainings for these judges, that them and only them, after they have these trainings in psychiatric and psychology and sociology and neurology, to understand the scope, the post-trauma and complex post-trauma in all aspects, after they have this expertise, that them and only them will sit in these dedicated courts, and they will be experts, as we are, in the sexual assault in the rape crisis centers, and will be able to, first of all, give their rulings in light of these trainings, and give the victims a more, safe and a place where they will feel that they can tell their story. And then with this expertise and the toolkit that they will have now, they will be able to, we believe, to rule in a better way when they have the understanding of how post-trauma and complex post-trauma looks like. For instance, re-victimization, getting again sexually assaulted again and again. This is something that when you understand how post-trauma looks, you understand how much logic it makes, how children who were sexually abused in their childhood, they do not have the radars that we, people who were not assaulted have. The red lights that alert when you go into a hazard zone, for instance, an alcoholic party when you don't know, these things that usually would turn on, they don't have that.
Right.
They're perpetrator. Yeah.
Well, I just want to ask you, Ayelet, because this is not a new idea. And obviously, I guess the conference today was inspired by the Shai Avital case. And I want to sort of draw a connection. Do you think that, for example, if such courts existed, more women would have been willing to come forward with complaints against Shai Avital, or police would have been more willing to investigate and carry forth the cases? Because of, as I said, we know of one example here where they didn't.
Definitely. We in the rape crisis centers have a lot of trainings that we do for police and prosecutors, and we're aiming to do them also for judges, and we're trying to make it more, more intense trainings, and for more policemen, not only sexual assault investigators, but also, the person that sits, on the front desks and or on the phone when someone in an emergency calls. So he will know how to approach and how to talk to a person who turns to them, a rape rape victim that turns to them, and will not give them a blaming attitude or wave them off, and will tell them and give them the right directions, what to do after they were assaulted. For instance, after an assault, you're supposed to go to a hospital to have the forensic evidence taken off of you, and to have photos and things like that. And we want these policemen that, they're the face of the authorities to these victims, to have that knowledge and even the right, way, the tools to talk in a, a comforting way to victims. And
Right.
that takes training.
Right.
And today it's not enough. It's not enough.
Right.
And this is something we're working on. Part
Right.
of the whole expertise that we're demanding from the law enforcement
Right.
authorities.
Now, when researching this, I see that it has come up in the parliament, in the Knesset. I believe Michal Rosen, lawmaker Michal Rosen, has been one of them who has tried to raise this and bring it to a bill and move it forward. So give us an idea, how optimistic are you or not that, for example, this government, or let's say this current parliament, Knesset, would actually move forward on the legal process that would actually create such a court?
So, first of all, in my line of work, you have to be optimistic or else you can't, survive.
I understand.
So I am very optimistic, and we have a very promising government that is very dedicated to this. And in the terms of the government, they declared they are committed to this, to dedicated units for sexual assault investigations, and also the Ministry of Justice is dedicated to this, and we are very, very hopeful that this will happen. And after our assembly today, I think we are definitely in the right track. This is something we can't afford. The society, the government, we cannot afford to neglect anymore.
Right.
There's too many rape crisis victims that feel that they do not have,
right,
a reason or will not be safe if they turn to the police.
Well, certainly
And
stories.
This is something we need to do.
Certainly stories like certainly stories like the Shai Avital scandal just reminds us, even well after the Me Too movement started, there are still plenty of, unfortunately, these circumstances that demand these measures.
Victim blaming, yes, definitely.
Right.
We have a long way to go, but we're on track.
Right. Ayelet Razin Beit-Or, a legal advisor for the Rape Crisis Centers of Israel. Thank you for joining us on I-24 News.
Thank you.